We're back, people, and today we're working on film on Sam LaPorta, rookie tight end for the Detroit Lions. He just had his first game action versus the Chiefs, and for a rookie tight end, I thought he looked pretty impressive. A lot of rookie tight ends struggle, and it wasn't perfect out of LaPorta, but there's definitely a lot of promise being shown here. As a run blocker, he was base blocking a lot of defensive ends. Here he's pulling, taking on a linebacker, and just maintaining his speed like that was very impressive. Through the point of attack right there. A lot of times, tight ends miss blocks when they're moving that fast. You could see his athleticism. I thought he also looked pretty solid as a receiver. Definitely want to see more there. He's more of like a little check down option, but definitely promise was shown there. But here, to see him pulling, Lions running some gap scheme action here. LaPorta pulling through, and he's basically the kick out guy that Montgomery's following here through this hole, and he gets low, drops his shoulder into Bolton, maintains that speed and gets this sort of angle hit into him. Very good, aiming point from LaPorta out of the full speed, and then he's able to, not get knocked back into this. Like, basically that's your goal here once you drop that shoulder into him, and then, try to at least get hands on, keep the fight, doesn't allow Bolton to shed off of it and make this tackle, and then it gives Montgomery a one-on-one in the hole with a safety. So very good work versus a very good linebacker, Nick Bolton, too. LaPorta helping spring that go-ahead touchdown this late in the game from the rookie. Very, very impressed with what I saw overall. Definitely like his outlook for the season and want to see more in the passing game. We'll show what he did in this game later on, but there's definitely more I would like to see him be involved in, allowed to run a little more routes and get a little more yak as well, because he can definitely do that from what I saw him coming out of Iowa. This was the play like sort of right before the touchdown, and they almost get like some wham action going on. He sort of inserts right in there. Very interesting play call. But getting LaPorta one-on-one with a defensive tackle and having a pretty solid rep here, helping Montgomery gain 6 yards. They leave 93 unblocked, and he's sort of just inserting himself right in and just takes him on, squares him up. Pretty good base, good hand usage straight into the chest. Kind of hard to tell from this angle, but he definitely has the hands into the chest there. You can see him drive, finish, try to, not like the guy was kind of losing balance trying to come off the block, but it's nice to see him sustain. A lot of times defense tackles will just toss the tight end to the side right here in this situation and get this tackle here. But he's able to stay with it, keep his hands inside, and then once he's, falling off balance, drive, finish that block, get at least, a semi guy, put him on the ground a little bit. But it's very nice to see LaPorta being able to be in this situation. Most tight ends are not going to have decent blocks versus defensive tackles, and you'll see how he did it versus like Karlaftis a lot in this game, like versus the edge. Like he had a lot, like especially on like duo, he got a lot of one-on-ones versus Karlaftis, and I would say it was a pretty even match. And for a tight end versus an edge, you'll definitely take that, especially for a rookie in his first game. Here do you see LaPorta blocking out on the move versus a safety here. I believe that's Reed, but he just pretty good job sustaining. Like, Reed ends up coming off of it, but he drives him for extra yards, and Gibbs looked really good in this game, by the way. For you Lions fans, he was outstanding in his limited snaps, I thought, at least. But just blocking out in space, very difficult. He takes a great angle, cuts him off, gets exactly where he wants to be positioning-wise, outside leverage of him, and now he's just driving. He helps drive this for an extra, 5 yards. Gibbs sort of has to run into LaPorta. That's why, Reed gets a chance to make this tackle, just because this defender forced him back to the inside. But LaPorta definitely does his job and even helps seal out these guys, even though he's not intending to, just being in the right spot. Just nice to see LaPorta maintaining these blocks out in space, doing it versus linebackers and safeties. And then you'll definitely see some film of him working versus some defensive ends too as well. This is the last drive of the game. LaPorta, they're just know the run is coming. The Chiefs have to stop the run, and LaPorta gets just a one-on-one versus Karlaftis. Help drive the pile there as well. Very good, just base blocking straight up one-on-one. They're comboing up here. They're sort of inserting Amon-Ra as well. Just working out duo. Montgomery's reading the linebacker, but he just gets his one-on-one right here. Squares him up, wants to attack that inside, and now that he's squaring him up, refighting with the hand placement here. You can see how he sort of resets his hands, refight, get that back underneath. Strain. He has high hand, low hand, so good technique. His base is pretty good. He's not like overextended off balance, and then he just drives, helps turn this open, and then gives Montgomery a pretty good lane to work off the back of here, so then he can make some safeties in the hole while he has some momentum going to get a few extra yards on the play. LaPorta doing his job again versus the run. Definitely liked what I saw. He lost some reps too, but overall it was pretty nice to see him winning a lot of those things and help creating lanes for his running backs. We're going to see LaPorta get involved in the receiving game. They actually lined him up out wide as like the widest option. Just sort of, running some routes, either just working vertically, take guys away, or just be like a late check down option. I want to see him get involved, like running routes from the slot to be a little more effective. But he was still pretty solid here. Like, you could see the athleticism. Chiefs are running cover 2 here, so this guy's trying to get physical, reroute him. But he just, pretty good job, even though he's like kind of standing straight up here, doesn't really get affected, tosses that guy off of him, and then has all this space to work with to the inside, just being reliable. His hands were very strong. He caught all of his targets thrown to him, even the ones that weren't super accurate, and you can see the burst up field. You can see the athleticism in his lower half, the way he's trying to change direction there. Doesn't do anything too crazy with making guys miss, but you can definitely see the potential of how that works later on. And he doesn't go down easily. Like, 5 guys are literally wrapping him up, 4, and he's still not going to the ground. Never ended up on the ground there, which is very nice to see. The potential for his yards after catch later on is definitely going to come. You know that was something he was skilled at Iowa coming from the draft. So I'm excited to see how that plays out later on, but just very reliable. Nice to see Goff have another little check down option to work with. That's also very athletic and physical. Just another dynamic added to this offense. LaPorta on the outside again, facing cover 2. Just boom, quick, nice little break to the outside or to the inside there, and it was nice to see him make this catch, thrown to his back shoulder a little bit, inaccurate. Strong hands, catching it with his hands, very important. The route itself, could have maybe added a little more sauce, finesse to it, but he's just getting out of his break, and it's pretty efficient too, pretty efficient with his feet, getting down horizontally, makes the DB move off a little bit to create enough separation, and then ball's thrown to his back shoulder to probably protect him from this linebacker here, but he's still able to reach back, almost fully extended, snatch it with his hands, and that's very important. Could easily be an incompletion to a lot of tight ends, but it's a nice 5-yard gain on first down. LaPorta being very sure-handed. If you're sure-handed, you're going to get targets. Your QB is going to trust you. These things are going to translate in later success down the line. And then the very next play, he gets the next targets, gains 4 yards here, just being this drag option. Clearly, they liked throwing him the ball underneath. Would have liked to see him, possibly make this guy miss. You can tell he's still getting prepared for the speed of the game. But for a tight end in week 1, usually, tight ends don't even show up until their second year. But just being involved, catching the ball with his hands, catching it in stride, not losing his speed at the catch point. Clearly comfortable with his hands there. At least, trying to, use the stiff arm, make the guy miss. The guy just makes a great tackle. But he still picks up 4 yards, just clearly becoming a focal point of the offense, which is important because once he got that first catch, you can tell Goff sort of had had confidence in him, and he started getting targeted a decent amount after that. Started getting looks, started being involved. And I like what I saw, even though a lot of his receiving plays weren't anything too crazy, they even started designing plays for him because clearly a lot of these guys were running vertical routes, clearing all that space out for LaPorta to work with underneath and then getting them a 3rd-and-1 situation afterwards. Here to see LaPorta get involved in, as an inline tight end in the receiving game, which is nice to see. Just on some play action rollout stuff, getting involved. You can see some athleticism after the catch there. Nice to see him picking up some good gains here, but see, off the line, avoid the defensive end. You don't want to get hands on, dip that shoulder, and then just work across the field. You can see the speed, the athleticism as he catches it in his body here, but it's kind of thrown to that low hip, and then instantly finds where the guys are, goes over the top of one guy, picking up some extra yards, just feeling just like a natural football player. He's not doing anything too crazy here. It's just nice to see him feel comfortable because you could easily look at other sides of the ball. There's players making mistakes on very easy plays, Chiefs dropping a bunch of passes, certain guys on the Lions making mistakes on plays that are pretty simple. But LaPorta, this is a tough situation to be in. Right here, he's about to cross the face of this linebacker. There's a guy right in front of Goff, and the ball's being thrown. It could be easy to lose this ball, but he tracks it all the way through and shows some athleticism just to pick up a few extra yards than he should have just going over the guy. Clearly comfortable in a lot of areas as a receiver. Just want to see them really unleash him as the season goes on. Back to some more reps versus the run here. One-on-one with Karlaftis again. This happened so many times throughout this game. And as the game went on, I just feel like LaPorta got more and more comfortable. Karlaftis won some ones early on. This is, halfway through the game, a little bit in the 3rd quarter. Squares him up, gets down. You can see him burst out of his stance, gets exactly where he wants to be, squared up. Now he's just sort of driving. Good hand usage. The base is good. He's bending at the knees. Now he's just sustaining and driving long enough, and Montgomery is able to work off the back of this block. He's sort of like that main point man where Montgomery's first read bounces off of, and LaPorta did a pretty good job helping, just picking up these 5 to 6 yard gains all these times, and it gets Montgomery 101 with a defensive back first, which is very nice because he did a good job making those guys miss a lot throughout the night. Last play that we break down for LaPorta, another run blocking rep, just seeing him block this defensive end, sealing this so this Gibbs can get to the edge. Great run by Gibbs. This was the hardest I've ever seen him run. I feel like his upper body strength looked up better in this game, breaking off tackles. But you can see like 97 right here, pretty head up. There's some space to the inside. I feel like 97 is trying to take this space, and once he does that, LaPorta attacks that outside shoulder because he wants him. They want to capture the edge here. They're pinning and pulling to the outside, and he's just wanting 97 to shoot at field. He completely gets horizontal here, attacks underneath that that armpit to then move him enough, and it allows it just enough space for Gibbs to work to the outside. Doesn't allow 97 to just shoot straight up field and make this tackle for loss. He gets underneath him, seals him off to the outside, and he helps create that first lane, and then Gibbs and the other O-linemen do the rest of the work. But just LaPorta being comfortable, definitely a lot of reps that were very positive, and I'm excited to see how the season plays out for him. I'm a big fan of his game. I was one of my favorite players to watch pre-draft. Glad. I feel like the Lions had a pretty fun draft, at least. A lot of players that I like to watch, and a lot of the rookies played pretty well from what I saw. So Sam LaPorta, excited to see how the season plays out for him. You guys really make sure to like, comment, subscribe, baby.